Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Winnipeg Business Podcast, where I bring in Winnipeg's finest businesses to share who they are, what they do, what makes them unique, and what you should look for when dealing with somebody within their industry. So without further ado, let's go. So with me today is Metrycki, the owner of Callia Flowers. You may know her from her contagious smile, you may know her from her Dragon's Den appearance, or you may know her from these boxes right there. So without further ado, Metrycki.
Thanks so much, James. I'm so excited to be joining you.
Thank you. So first question, who are you? And second question, what do you do?
So you mentioned my name is Catherine. I'm the owner and founder of Callia Flowers. Proudly born and raised Winnipegger. And yeah, I run Callia. So we've done it for about 4 years now. The business has grown quickly over that time. And Callia is the best new experience sending flowers. We talk about doing flowers differently. So all online ordering, just 3 bouquets at a time based on what's in season that we rotate out every few weeks. And then the boxes that you mentioned that tend to make people smile. So it's been quite the ride, and it's Callia all the way here.
So those boxes, anybody in this city for sure, Winnipeg, they've seen it on a front desk. These are very aesthetic looking packages. What made you think of those boxes in particular?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure it's one I've been asked before. I think when I was thinking about how to do flowers in a way that was going to be scalable and consistent, one of the challenges is how do you move from your custom arrangements that are delivered in water and they can spill. And from a driver perspective, it can be a challenge. And that was one of the things that we identified fairly early was going to be an issue if we wanted to make more moments. And we talk about that, right? Like, how can we make more moments of connection with people? And if you've got these custom arrangements and vases and vertical and the whole thing, it's difficult to get all these bouquets out and get them in great quality. And what about -35? Like, that's a whole nother issue. And so we were looking for ways to package differently. And I was searching around, what could something that would work? And somehow I came across boxes. And said, okay, what would be a way that we could make this work and make it work so that it was consistent, so that, if you're delivering 20 or 30 boxes in a day, that you can just take your boxes and go and take your boxes and go. And we talk about it as kind of a shoebox experience. And so it started as being a logistical challenge. How do you make sure that experience is replicable for drivers? How do you make sure that it works for logistics? But then it also became a brand challenge, and I'm a marketing nerd. So I love, how do you make it a beautiful experience, a special experience? How do you make those details really exquisite? And I don't know if I call it exquisite, but it's definitely special. And I think that's something that is exciting, because when you receive flowers, like it's kind of about receiving the flowers, but we talk about that, like, can't catch your breath, like, oh my goodness, somebody thought of me experience. And the box is part of that. Everything is part of that. All of those little details have to come together. So that's where the box came from. And it's iterated a few times, but we love our box.
So is there a particular reason as to why you chose, is it mermaid green or what color, what shade?
Oh, it's quite a debate, James, in my team. Is it Callia blue or is it Callia green? So I call it Callia blue, but at least half the team calls it Callia green. So you can call it whatever you want. I think technically our designer calls it teal. So we sit right on the fence, but yeah, it's different, right? And I think that was something we thought about at the same time. We didn't just want to, pick the classic pinks and the greens and the kind of what has traditionally been done in this business. And we also really wanted to stand out versus flowers. And there aren't any blue flowers, well, other than delphiniums, but so it really kind of offsets the flower experience nicely. And I think that is something that has made the brand stand out, and it's made it fairly iconic, at least to us. So it's something that we enjoy.
Awesome. So just for the viewers out there who don't know about Callia Flowers, what makes you guys unique in comparison to, let's say, the florist down the street?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of what I talked about at the beginning. So definitely this online ordering experience, and as you and I spoke about before we started, COVID has made that a little bit different. I think a lot more people are shifting online, which is great, and I think it's ease of ordering for a lot of people. But for the last few years, we've invested a lot in our technology to really make that a unique experience. And if you think about ordering flowers versus ordering a pair of shoes or a pizza for delivery, there's quite a few things that are unique in this space versus other e-commerce. So one is that it's date specific. So if it's grandma's birthday on Friday, we need to deliver the flowers on Friday. And if grandma's only going to be home from 12 till 3, we need to deliver between 12 and 3. That's very different from like an Amazon order where you order it and it comes, sometime in the next 7 to 10 business days. And so that's definitely a challenge in terms of date specific. The other piece is perishable. So again, versus your typical e-commerce delivery, you can't leave it on the step. You can't have it in transit for days. It has to be, especially in Winnipeg winters, like -35, flowers freeze in 4 minutes. So you have to be so tight around, delivery from picking it up from the warehouse into the driver's car, all the way to the recipient picking it up off the front step. And you can't have exposure for more than 4 minutes through that process. So that's definitely a challenge and something different than typically commerce. And then the last thing that's really unique is around the nature of the sender and recipient, which is also, very different in terms of typically when you're sending flowers, it's as a surprise. So if it's grandma's birthday on Friday, you're not going to say like, hey, grandma, I've got flowers coming to you between 12 and 1. Can you just confirm your address and your buzz code number and all these things, right? Like that's not really part of your gifting experience. And so we often find that recipients are not expecting what we're delivering. And so those three things together, I think, create this unique challenge when it comes to logistics. How do you combine very date specific, time specific delivery needs to someone who has no idea that they're coming with product that can die in literally a few minutes? And so what we've built out from a technology perspective to enable that is, online ordering. We've done a ton around text notifications and confirmation and tracking, and flowers are on the way. Flowers are going to be here in 2 hours, like those kinds of things. So that's definitely something that's unique about Callia compared to a traditional florist in terms of our investment in kind of the experience and the technology that supports it. And then definitely from a bouquet perspective as well, those 3 bouquets, no customization, no dozen roses. We won't do any of that for you. It's only our 3 bouquets. And then the boxes at the end. And I think together those 3 things make it a different experience. I'm conscious about saying different experience. There are phenomenal florists in Winnipeg and across the country that do beautiful work. If you want an artisanal, like really fancy custom arrangement, like I've got a list of 5 I can send you to. But we've been really intentional about what we're good at, and we're good at this. And I think that's made us different. And it's something that we've been fortunate to have a great following alongside.
Nice. So one of the things that I noticed when I was ordering Callia Flowers is, the 3 bouquets. That makes it so much easier for people such as like men or people like myself who, if I see 100 different bouquets, I straight up ask the florist, which one? Just tell me which one, please. But with the 3 options, it's literally, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, this is easy. And you guys make it such a great experience, because when one of my relatives received Callia Flowers, she was just blown aback by the whole experience. Like you said, she got the box and what is this? And she opened it up and it was just such a great experience. And I thank you for being a part of that memory for me.
Thanks.
I did have a question. Do you guys do anything during like the Valentine's Day season? Is there something different you guys do, or like
so a little bit. So, I talk about seasonal bouquets. And so using what's in season, which for us is a combination of, what's being grown at the farms and also what people are interested in buying at different times of year. So like you're probably not interested in sunflowers in February, but you are really interested in red roses because that's the classic. So we have a Valentine's Day collection that'll drop like 2 or 3 weeks before Valentine's Day for availability. And it will include your classic red rose bouquet. And I mean, obviously with a Callia twist, but the flowers that you expect for Valentine's Day. So that's certainly true. And one of the things we started recently investing in, which I'm really excited about, is partnerships with local makers from across Canada. And so we find artisans, makers, small businesses, often women who have phenomenal product and or small businesses that are just getting off the ground. And we partner with them to sell their items as extra gifts alongside our bouquets. And so in Manitoba, we're working with Charleston and Harlow Candles. We're working with Utopia, which is like amazing, amazing toffee. But we've also got a whole set for Valentine's Day, which I'm really excited about. So Apartment 6, who does skincare, we're doing a bubble bath with them. Rousseau Chocolatiers, who's been listed as one of the top 10 chocolatiers in Canada for the last, 5 or 6 years running. They're actually based out of the Maritimes, which is super cool, but like a really neat kind of husband and wife team. There's a whole bunch of really neat brands that we're partnering with so that you can add some of these like local, support small maker goods that you might not otherwise have access to with your bouquets as well. So we're pretty stoked about that.
Okay, so I know a lot of people who are watching this, they know you from your Dragon's Den episode. Can you please share that experience with those who are hoping to go pitch?
It's quite the journey, and I'm happy to kind of share it. So for us, it would have been like a year and a half ago, I guess. And we were only in Western Canada. So we had Winnipeg and a number of other cities kind of across the prairies and into BC, but we hadn't really tackled Eastern Canada at all. And we knew that was a big opportunity and wanted to kind of take a look at what expansion would look like. And we kind of needed 2 things to do that. So we needed some investment and some capital to be able to support that. But we also would see a bit of a publicity hit as being helpful too, particularly as you go into Toronto. And so it had kind of been on the radar. Like people would say like, oh, you should go. And I thought like, why not? And so the pitching process is long. So like from the initial audition all the way through to, a few months later, they tell you, okay, we think you should come to Toronto. And then that happens a few months later. And then for us, we filmed in Toronto 2 days before Mother's Day, which was insane. Awful timing. Mother's Day is the busiest day of the year for us. So that was quite a whirlwind, but did it. And then it was months before it aired. And yeah, it was it was a cool experience. I think reality TV is reality TV. And that's something that is quite interesting. Like I watch a lot of The Bachelor, and, it's given me a different perspective in terms of real life versus what gets cut on TV. But it was really positive for us. Obviously, we shook hands with Manjeet Minhas, which has been huge for us and for the business. And yeah, it was a great story. And so we've been fortunate in terms of how that's played out and how it's enabled our expansion. And now, a year later, we're in 55 cities across Canada. And that's a cool story that only works with that kind of support and experience along the way.
Nice. So how did you get over like the nerves of right when you got up there? Like, was there something you did to practice? Was there like meditation techniques you used? Because I'm pretty sure I would freeze on the spot in front of the dragon.
You know what? I honestly can't remember much of what happened. So from whatever I look like when it's actually going, the whole thing is a blur. So I think calm, cool, and collected is like a far-fetched dream. I think, you have to be passionate about what you do. And I hope that comes through, like the way that you and I are talking, the way that you talk about your business, right? Like it's, you have to really care about and believe in what you're doing. And as long as you do that, and as long as you're confident in the story you have and the numbers you're doing and where you're going and what your plans are, then the rest of it follows. And I think it's easy to be passionate, and it's easy to be confident. It's easy to be professional and poised about something that you really believe in, and something that, you're not trying to put on a show. You're not trying to smoke and mirror someone. It's just, this is what I'm doing and I'm really passionate about it. And I hope that you will be too. And I think that kind of, what do they say on The Bachelor? Being raw and vulnerable, show my vulnerable side. That comes from a place of authenticity, right? And I think that's been really true for me. And I think it seems like it's true for you too, James. Like the way that you talk about the business and the way that you talk about your podcast, like you care, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going. Like I think that makes it easier. And so for me, I think that helped. But from whatever it looks like, I was definitely not calm and cool and collected on the inside. That's for sure.
Do you have any advice or words of wisdom for young entrepreneurs, up and coming entrepreneurs, startup businesses? Because we do like to make somewhat of a compilation and fire it out every quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the best advice I ever received, and this is not new to the world, you've probably heard it before, but like you just have to start, and you have to be okay, at least for me, in putting something out there that you're like, oh, I'm not so sure about this. Like, this isn't the website that I wanted it to be. And this isn't the box that I wanted it to be. And this isn't quite, my dream of what this business looks like 10 years from now is not what's out in the market. And it's definitely not what was in the market 4 years ago. Like, I can tell you that. And that's okay. And it's okay. We talk about, MVPs and failing fast, and like all these buzzwords in the startup or entrepreneurial space. And I think it's so true. Like the best businesses, at least in my experience, not that I've got lots, but with Callia for sure, and friends who are entrepreneurs, they started from, let's just try this and see what happens. And your story is the same, right? Like we'll figure this thing out, and we don't have visions of it being, a $100 billion company and this huge unicorn. You start with something cool and you find a niche, and then you do the next thing, and then you do the next thing, and then you do the next thing. And I think, that for me was a huge hurdle. I did not want to launch Callia. I wanted to wait until Callia was perfect. But if I would probably still be sitting here not having launched anything, and I basically got pushed off the cliff to say, like, you just got to go do it. And that was the best advice I think I received, and the best mentorship that I received. And it would be the best advice that I would pass on to others, that you got to start.
Okay. So Catherine, if people wanted to reach out to you, or they just wanted to check out Callia Flowers, what is the best way they can do so?
So Callia.com, Callia.com for the business. And I'm online. So people want to email me. My contact info is on the website. I'm on LinkedIn, all those places. I was helped an incredible amount as Callia started. I still am. Like, you can't do this alone. You need a community of support and mentorship and advice and team and all the rest of it. So I'm happy to talk to people. Just reach out. I'm here. I can help.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Winnipeg Business Podcast. If you know anyone you think would make a perfect guest for the show, please send them to thewinnipegbusinesspodcast.com. Have them fill out the form, and someone from our team will get back to them ASAP. Till next time.